Hello and welcome to the Amiga version of Golden Axe. The select player. And the other two disappeared. Kaboof. Let us get the dramatic introduction out of the way. Alex, what has happened? Majesty has revenged them for me, my friend. Alex! Oh, I didn't have to make that sound. The game did that for me. A Golden Axe is a well-known arcade game by Sega. It was converted to quite a few systems. A lot of home computers and home consoles. And it is basically a beat 'em up with weapons, so it makes it a slice 'em up, I would assume. A Death Equal Adder, as he's called in the cast of characters introduction screen that you may or may not have watched, has been a naughty, and he has captured the king and princess, or kidnapped them. Same thing but different, I suppose. And each of the three playable characters have had someone dear to them killed by a Death Equal Adder, and of course they want to get even for those atrocities, as well as becoming famous for rescuing the king and princess. But in order to do that, they have to navigate several different levels of beating up bad guys on the way. Picking up this lizard thing, whatever, which can be used to tail swipe enemies, or you can charge into them. The tail swipe is the most used ability, because the charge can be a bit wonky to set up. Of the three characters you can choose, you have Axe Battler, the one we are playing at the moment, the very obvious sword using Axe Battler. I feel this guy's got an identity crisis, I don't know. And then you have a female Amazon, Tyrian Flame, I think she's called. I saw that a few minutes ago and I've forgotten already. And never mind, getting old is bad. And then of course you have the dwarf, which is a comically large axe. But you would never pick the dwarf, and this is the reason you would not pick the dwarf, because the game features a magical system. At the top of the screen you've probably noticed there was some boxes with some blue dots in, and that is the magical power. And the dwarf has a magical power potential of 4. The sword wielding Axe Battler has got a potential magical power of 6, and the female Amazon thing, whatever, has got a potential magical power of 7. And the magic is used to get rid of tough encounters, and the dwarf's magic just won't cut it. In between levels you get to bump into some midgets which you can kick senseless in order for them to drop their goodies. The blue ones will drop magical potions, which will give you some magical power up, and the green ones, which you won't be seeing before the next level intermission, can drop a food. I've explained the magic, I can explain the hit point system, or health system. You can see at the bottom of the screen we have 3 blue dots, or blue bars, and dots, they are bars indeed. And the number 3 next to an icon of our axe wielding sword master. Sword wielding axe, yeah. I will probably find 40 different ways to make fun of that name. His parents didn't like him or something, doesn't matter. But those 3 bars, once you, if you are knocked out, not just knocked down, you have to be knocked down by taking several hits, you will lose 1 hit point. And once you've lost all 3, then surprise, surprise, you lose a life. If you can retain at least one of your hit points on a given life, then in the intermission or in between level screens, assuming a green midget goblin dwarf thing, not a dwarf, goblin midget, whatever, will pop up, you can restore your health and retain your life. If you lose a life and you have 3 full hit points, and then you get one of those green midget guys, it will not give you an extra life to eat the food. So the idea is definitely to try and retain a few hit points in a given life, so you can hold on to the life. The blue guys will come running from time to time during the levels. It also give you some magic power, and that's usually an indication that a tough fight is coming up. Very tough. Equal opportunities game. Male or female, we don't care. Kick them all. I suppose they kick us, so, or slice us, I should say. The combat system is rather simple. You slice and slash with your weapon in question, and depending on your distance from the enemies you're fighting, after 3 hits you will either start smacking them in their heads with the butt of your sword, or you will throw them away. Oh, a green guy. Hey, we can restore our health. Hooray! And when it comes to the different characters, the male and female are virtually identical. It's just a slight difference. Basically, the dwarf, he has a few different moves compared to the 2 human characters, and he's most noticeable for his comically large axe. The axe head itself is not so much the issue, it's just the handle. It's more like a halberd than an axe, but what do I know? I'm no expert. You also have access to a charge, which is a bit annoying to use because you double tap in a direction and you need to be in running animation before you can click the attack button in order to commit to a charge. The charge is very, very good at hitting enemies which are sitting on the animals that you, or mythical beasts, I should say, that you will encounter from time to time. You have seen the lizard with his tail swipe and the dragon with his bad breath. There's another type of a dragon which will fire out fireballs. It is technically the more useful of the 3, but I have never found a need or desire to keep hold of them in this version. The Sega Master System version, which I owned many years ago when I owned a Sega Master System, it was definitely beneficial to carry on using those beasts as long as you could, but not so much in this version. The thing is, the hits will knock enemies down, but they will only take damage as of being hit once. Whereas when you slice and dice them with your sword, you will have to hit them multiple times in order to knock them down. So basically you end up having to breathe on them quite a few times in order to take them out, whereas by slicing them 3 or 4 times before you knock them down, you will overall be doing more damage. So I personally prefer to just slice away. More magical power. I wonder if an encounter is coming up. Oh yeah, of course, special attack. Hold down, hold down and press fire, and the different characters will make a special attack. The male and female barbarian Amazon sword users will swing backwards while slicing, which is a one-hit knockdown move, but it also leaves you quite vulnerable, so it's not overly useful, to be honest. The dwarf, he will roll and smack his axe into, or halberd, whatever, into the guts of the enemies. It's basically achieving the same result, it just looks slightly different. Magic. Oh, that was a hard fight, wasn't it? No? No. I thought so. Of other moves, you can also do some jump attacks, which you can jump and slice away or hack away, whatever, or you can jump up and hold down the fire button in order to lower your weapon, so you basically land on top of people's heads with the weapon pointing downwards, which is rather painful, I would assume. But it's not particularly useful either. It is super useful in other versions of this game, but to be honest, I find the normal fighting moves to be perfectly adequate. Quite a few enemies tend to knock you out of the air when you try and jump, so just keeping both your feet solidly planted on the ground while hacking away is just as efficient, if not more so. And as is very common for this kind of game, being surrounded is bad for you, so you always, as much as possible, want to try and make sure that all enemies are engaging you from the same side. But of course that is not always practical, but it works so far. You probably noticed that the enemies are starting to take quite a few more hits in order to be knocked down, but yeah, well, one-on-one you are perfectly safe. And welcome to the skeletons. These guys are bad news. Talking technical details on the Amiga version, the graphics, decent to good. You can easily see what the individual things are supposed to be. Two skeletons, time to use some magic, I think. Yeah, good idea. The backgrounds and scenery, all that good stuff is well drawn, nothing spectacular, but definitely not bad either. The sound design is very similar to the arcade, as far as I know. I've seen this arcade, but I haven't played it myself. I've played different console versions and computer versions, but I haven't actually played the arcade, even though I have seen it. Definitely have seen it. So, that would be from memory. Music, fairly similar to the arcade as well, as far as I can tell. The fighting, it feels quite fluent, at least there's no sluggishness when you are trying to fight. But as you've probably noticed by now, the hit detection of your strings can be a bit generous, I think is a good word for it. You can hack away at thin air, and the enemies will be so frightened by your weapon prowess that they will take a damage, because they are so amazed by your swinging into thin air that it actually hurts them. But it is not something to complain about, because it's not half a screen away, and of course you can benefit from it, so it would be foolish to complain about something that works for you instead of working against you. This time we only have 2 points of magic power, so this won't be enough to take them out, but it will weaken them slightly. One skeleton is bad news, 2 of them will happily stun knock you into oblivion. It's very easy to get mauled completely and utterly by 2 of them, so we are losing a life. Well, we got a few spares, it's okay. As you've probably gathered from the title of this video, this is a completion of a golden axe. Just a bit annoying to lose a life there, because of course there's a green guy that could have given us some hit, but never mind, doesn't matter. As I was saying, this is a completion of a golden axe, and I'm perfectly fine completing it. I don't need to do it perfect, 1 life, whatever. I could have played a few more games and then I would probably been able to do it, but I initially only intended to make an overview video, and then after playing 3 games I had gotten 2/3 through the game, so I thought, you know what, I probably won't need to play a lot more games in order to beat it, and this was the 5th game I played, so no, it didn't take overly long. Oh, the skeletons can't fly, by the way, one of them discovered the hard way. I'm going to teach the other one that it couldn't fly either, and this one. He's walking on sunshine. No? Ah, it doesn't matter. But I should probably say that having had this version on the Sega Master System years ago, it was a game I enjoyed quite a bit on that system, and I played it semi-regularly. I had actually quite a few good games on that system, and I loved every one of them. But despite not having played Golden Axe for many a year, it came back to me quite quickly. There's certain version differences between the different versions, but the foundation, of course, is the same, so this didn't take much to get back on track. I assume that accounts for all these kind of games. As long as you're not getting yourself surrounded, you should be perfectly fine in those cases, but of course it also comes down to how the games are converted, how they are programmed, how they are designed, because some of the games I've made videos of so far has been quite good displays of how poorly a game can be made when, I mean, all things considered, I didn't give them the task to do it, I didn't give them a deadline, and so I don't know how long time they had available to make the games they were making, the different developers, companies, programmers, whatever. But when making a game, a lot of it is design. You have to set a framework and say, okay, what is the aim of the game? How do you want the player agent to accomplish the set aim? And then of course you have to build up a framework for that and give abilities and magical things and vehicles and all sorts of other good stuff, whatever your game demands, and then you have to start having to work out how to put it all together into something that resembles an enjoyable experience. Someone who is making a conversion of an existing version, whether it's an arcade version or another computer or console version, doesn't have to go through the design process. Everything has been designed. Now I'm not going to say that programming is easy as pie, because it probably isn't, but the groundworks has always been done. They just quotation marks, all sorts of good stuff, have to replicate and make it a function on the system they're trying to make it for. And again, I am no programmer, I couldn't do it better myself, so I should probably just keep my gob shut, but at the same time, when you are expected to pay good solid money for a game, and it is supposed to be made by people who supposedly know what they're doing, your expectations are allowed to increase. And when those expectations are not met, you are more than welcome, allowed, entitled to call it what it is. I mean, some of these games that you have found on any system, doesn't matter what it is, Commodore 64, Amiga, PC, Xbox 360, whatever. Some of them are of a quality equivalent to you go down and buy a brand new car at your local car dealer, and then he insists that no, your four-wheel car is now a three-wheel car, and you just have to accept that because that's just the way it is. It will drive in an odd way, and it will feel very clunky to drive, but it's a three-wheel car, and you wouldn't accept that, would you? But of course, when it came to games back then, people didn't read reviews, which everyone was adamant about everyone doing, and most people didn't do it, or didn't want to, or forgot about it, or whatever. They got royally screwed over. But in the case of Golden Axe, we are fighting a Death Equals Adder, the big baddie bad guy. By the way, I'm talking rubbish, I'm very good at doing that, but it's definitely not a bad conversion. I enjoyed my time with it, and it was a bit dicey towards the end about actually beating the game, but you don't get to see the epic end sequence because he's not off screen, but his axe will spin up into the air, rotate a few times, and then land in his chest. And magically, the king and princess have been freed, and we are now the hero they dreamed us to be. Thank you, gallant one. I take my utmost gratitude for our rescue. I would rather take some money if it's okay. Oh. Now the people will be able to live, to build, and to prosper in peace. Okay. Congratulations. Indeed. And this little sequence I actually found hilarious. I'm a simpleton, I know, but I did. Yeah. All in all, not a bad little game. I would happily play it again. Definitely. And you get a measurement of your strength based on how many times you died, and we died quite a few times. So on that note, thanks for watching, take care, and see you next time. Bye bye for now.